Alright, I hope everybody is having a fabulous day out there. This time, we're going to talk about Thursday and Friday on Days of Our Lives on this episode of In Between Days. We're going to be chatting chowder here. So, Thursday, we're going to start with a lot of stuff happened. Paulina's sinister plans for the town square continue to develop, and a couple of funny things snuck into that. Not so subtle. One of the properties that Paulina just purchased in Salem was 227 something or other. I didn't catch the street name. I didn't make note of that, but that's a reference back to her being on the show 227, of course. And I think there's another instance. There was another instance in a promo video where she came out of the door and it was number 227 on the door. So some funny, playful throwbacks to her old role on that show. Also on Thursday, Chanel is put in her place by Lani about Eli, and also about finding a job. So we'll get more to that in a little bit about Chanel and her plans for finding a job and a career. Jan Spears makes Chloe drive to the airport, and she also left Claire to burn and die in the cabin. Yes, the notorious cabin of fire, making a return cameo to Days of Our Lives yet again. Philip gets called to bring money and a plane in exchange for Chloe. He gets to play the rich hero, comes in and shows up with a bunch of money in a jet, and he's going to try to save the day, but in the midst of things, Chloe ends up trying to snatch the gun from Jan and gets shot. Easy for me to say. Meanwhile, Ben finds Claire in the cabin, kind of knocks over the lamp and starts the fire, but ends up rescuing her. Sean is not far behind, and he finds Ben and Claire. So some parallels to the story of Ben and Sierra there, with Ben rescuing Claire from the fire. So it seems that they're planting some more seeds for Ben and Claire to become more of something. And then of course we know that Sierra is eventually going to return, and that will cause a big triangle there. And we know also, not to get too into a sidebar, but we know Eric is coming back soon at some point as well from the summer promo video. So that's not a spoiler. That is the summer promo video that Days of Our Lives released, and we know that Greg Vaughn is coming back at least for a little while. So there may be something of a triangle there as well, a little bit different because Nicole had a one-night stand with Xander, but is kind of into Rafe, who is seeing Ava. But now we better backtrack, because we're supposed to be sticking to what happened on Thursday and Friday. So, but that's okay, by the way. We're just winging it here as always, and we just like to have fun and discuss everybody's favorite hit soap opera. So where were we? Sean is finding Belle and Claire, that's right, and he brings Claire to the prison to see Belle. And we all know that Belle is in prison for confessing to the murder of Charlie Dale, even though she didn't do it. Jan Spears did it, so we'll find out probably by next week how, because enough people know the truth that Jan is going to go down. And I think I saw a little bit of a spoiler about what happens to Jan, but we're not. See, that's a spoiler, so we're not going to touch that. Friday, did you know that Friday was like some kind of donut day, National Donut Day? So it maybe not a coincidence, maybe a little bit purposely. We get into some donut stuff on Friday. First of all, here's what first happens. Sean and Brady and Philip and Chloe are at the hospital. There's a little bit of interaction there. And basically, we won't get too deep into that, but obviously Brady is now done with Kristen. And, there's been things developing between Brady and Chloe, but also Philip is still, kind of into Chloe, so triangle happening there. As we talked about, Chanel wants to start a bakery, yes. So Chanel wants to her idea to get a job is to start her own bakery, and of course she wants to involve Allie, but her secret, she wants to build this whole bakery business around selling Alice Horton donuts, and of course for maybe 5 decades, Alice Horton donuts, that's been a secret recipe, so, we can't just have anybody out there selling Alice Horton donuts on the free market. That's a cherished Horton traditional passed on secret recipe type of thing. So at first I was very against this idea, but then upon further speculation, when Julie mentioned that Allie Horton was actually in fact named after Alice Horton, I was like, well, in a way, as long as Allie Horton has a lot of stake in this business, I kind of think that it's her legacy to play with. So if they're gonna end up selling Alice Horton donuts in the square, it's growing on me. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Alice Horton didn't go around selling her donuts on the free market, so, but how do you guys feel about it? Anyway, wrapping stuff up before we get too long-winded, there's also some funny stuff on Friday with donuts in general. Xander on the couch ate 12 dozen donuts that Julie baked for Doug, and she's not too impressed with that, so, their relationship continues. They certainly don't get along too well, and that's about it. The other thing I wanted to mention, easy for me to say. The other thing I wanted to mention quickly is a promo video for next week came out, and no, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers, but they show a lot of old footage of Lucas and Sami, and I know a lot of people push EJ and Sami, but here's where it might get a little bit controversial, because I personally think since day one, if you go back in time and at first Sami was very obsessed with Austin Reed, who was dating, or ended up dating anyway, her sister Carrie. But as we all know, she got involved with Lucas. They had a son, and in my book, what would tie a nice bow on everything, not that bow, just a nice, ribbon, what would tie a nice bow on everything would be if Lucas and Sami finally end up together. Finally, after all these years. And if somebody can tell me whatever happened to Salem Place, that would just be like icing on the cake. But I wouldn't mind seeing Lucas and Sami ending up together, and we can just shovel EJ out of the picture. It's not even the real EJ, so what is the point? But it does add a little bit of drama to everything. I also realized that we left out a little bit of the end of Friday, so I'm going to tack that on right now. So we forgot to mention that Gwen comes into the Gwen comes into the elevator. Isn't that fascinating? No, she gets off the elevator and she's in the hospital, and she tells Dr. Snyder that her package has been delivered, and Trip he sees some of that going on, so he kind of snoops a little bit to see what's going on there. And Dr. Snyder is like, "Were you following me around? Don't do that," kind of thing. I have a right to private moments with my patients. So I think Dr. Snyder, who has been testing Trip's patients, Trip is getting hot onto the trail, and he knows something's up. So let's find out how that all plays out. We may or may not know that Xander gets involved in some of that, what's going on with Gwen, but we'll wait to find out. So in any event, we'll talk about all that and more next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you really want to be in the know and the first one to know about the next video coming out, then hit that notification bell and you will be sure to be the first amongst the first to know. Alright, see you next time.